It's finally here. Tonight, October 2nd, 2025, the rare moon rises, and with it comes a change you cannot avoid. This night is not normal. It is a turning point. Things that no longer work will end. People who don't belong will leave, and the truth you've been avoiding will finally show up in front of you. For many, this moon will touch love and friendships. A bond that once felt strong may suddenly feel weak. A connection you thought would last forever may begin to fade. This is not a mistake. It is part of the plan. At the start of October, life is clearing your path, removing what cannot walk with you into the future. This is not punishment, it is preparation. So stay with me, but first do 3 things. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, write 545 in the comments. Tonight, the rare moon rises into full power, and its influence cannot be ignored. This moment marks a clear turning point, a shift that touches both the personal and the collective. The moon now stands at a critical point in the zodiac where choices meet consequences. It connects with shadow forces that rarely reveal themselves, forces that bring hidden truths into the open. This is why the air feels different, because this night carries a charge that pushes you to see what you have avoided. Astrologers across history tracked nights like this not for superstition, but because they knew these moon events clear paths that ordinary days cannot. The same is happening now. This moon is not simply shining above. It is unlocking a gateway within time itself, calling you to let go of what no longer fits and step into what is waiting. October 2nd marks a turning point. The rare moon rising tonight pushes everything forward, ready or not. Paths that have been stuck will finally move. Connections that no longer serve will break away. What stays is what truly belongs to your soul's journey. The second day of October is not about loss. It's about alignment. Old bonds that feel heavy are closing because they've done their job. Karmic ties are ending, not to hurt you but to free you. What looked permanent is now shifting, making space for the truth that was waiting to step in. This is bigger than personal change. It is a collective shift. The lessons that kept repeating are finally being cleared. The moon is setting the stage for new contracts, new directions, and new beginnings that match where you're meant to go next. If you're hearing this, it's not by accident. Your soul chose this exact moment. The timing is no mistake. You are part of the gateway opening now. What you release, the world releases. What you step into, the world begins to reflect. This night is more than a sign. It is an initiation. The moon calls you to rise into purpose, to accept the mission already written within you. No more waiting. No more hesitation. The door is open. Walk through it. Today, the rare moon brings more than change in the sky. It also moves through the body and mind, leaving many people restless in ways they cannot explain. At the start of October, emotions rise to the surface that have been silent for months, sometimes even years. A sudden wave of sadness or anger can appear without warning, not as punishment but as release. The weight carried quietly is no longer meant to remain hidden. Tears may come easily, even in moments that don't seem to call for them. This is not weakness. It is a sign of clearing. The soul empties what is heavy so that lighter steps can follow. What feels like loss is actually preparation for the next stage of becoming. The more that leaves, the more space opens for what is waiting. Others may notice their mind replaying scenes from the past as if flipping through pages already closed. These memories surface not to trap anyone, but to finalize old contracts. Each replay is an invitation to let go. The karmic ties that once defined direction are being cut with precision, making way for a cleaner path forward. The body too responds in unexpected ways. Sleep may come late or it may be broken. The rhythm is shifting because the inner world is adjusting to a new frequency. Even hunger, thirst, or energy levels may change suddenly. These are natural signs. The transformation is happening not only in thought but in the physical vessel carrying it. Emotional overwhelm is also common during this passage. One moment may feel heavy with intensity, the next strangely light. This swing is not random. It is the passageway between endings and beginnings. The moon pulls these emotions forward so that nothing false can stay hidden. It is important to remember that these symptoms are not a sign of being lost. They are markers of evolution. The body and mind are relearning balance under a new timeline, one where outdated weight no longer belongs. Nobody moves through this alone. The same collective shift touches many at once. The tears, the restless nights, the sudden memories. These are shared experiences across countless lives. Each sign proves that the soul is aligning more deeply with truth. No matter how disorienting the process may seem, this phase is not meant to break anyone. It is meant to clear space by releasing emotions stored too long. The path ahead can open wider, What feels unstable today is a sign of tomorrow's strength. The moon is reminding all who are listening. Change is not meant to be feared. It is meant to free. 2nd October is not only about what the rare moon shows in the sky, but also what it awakens within. On nights like this, shadows surface, not to haunt, but to be faced. Fear may rise without clear reason. Insecurities may whisper louder than before. And truths hidden beneath daily life begin pressing for release. These shadows are not enemies. They are parts of the self waiting for recognition. As the night deepens, the moon pulls the unseen to the surface. This can look like doubt, jealousy, guilt, or anger suddenly rushing forward. It can feel as though the past is trying to return. Yet the 2nd day of October was designed as a mirror, reflecting back everything that no longer deserves power. The shadows rise because they are ready to leave. Karmic release is strongest at this point. The soul contracts tied to fear, control, or betrayal may surface with sharp clarity. A face from the past, a memory of betrayal, or a hidden insecurity may appear again, asking to be acknowledged before it dissolves. This is not punishment. It is alchemy. What once chained you is being transformed into wisdom. The shadow self has always been described across traditions. Some saw it as the serpent to be shed, others as the dark twin waiting to be integrated. On 2nd October, this shadow is not here to destroy but to teach. By looking directly at what frightens us, we reclaim the power once given away. The darkness becomes a teacher, and through it a new self is born. Releasing this weight can bring intensity, but it is also a liberation. Tears, anger, or moments of silence are all forms of release. Each wave carries away fragments that no longer define who you are becoming. The process may feel raw, but it is precise. It clears the path for light to move freely within. This is the deeper purpose of shadow work, not to erase the darkness, but to transform it into strength. To look at fear without turning away. To see betrayal and choose self-respect. To see loss and understand it as space for renewal. The 2nd October moon makes this work unavoidable, but also makes the reward undeniable. When shadows rise tonight, remember they are not here forever. They surface so they can finally leave. Each layer that departs is a step into clarity, into truth, into a self no longer ruled by unspoken fears. This is karmic release in motion, an ending, yes, but one that unlocks new beginnings. Change is already moving through you, reshaping what no longer fits and strengthening what must carry you forward. On nights like this, the inner compass sharpens, pointing you toward truths you can no longer ignore. What once felt comfortable may suddenly seem too small, as if your soul refuses to stay in places where growth has stopped. The 2nd of October acts like a signal for awakening. Relationships, choices, and habits that once seemed fixed are being tested. It is not about loss, but about realignment. Life is pressing you closer to the version of yourself that was always meant to emerge. This is why emotions have been stronger, decisions harder, and old attachments more fragile, because your spirit is preparing for a higher path. When spiritual awakening begins to accelerate, the body, the heart, and the mind all respond. You may notice a heightened clarity in simple moments, like suddenly knowing who supports your path and who drains it. You may sense time differently, as if days move faster or slower, reminding you that growth doesn't follow the same rules as routine life. This is not random. It is awakening, reshaping perception. The 2nd day of October holds a rare turning point because it is not only about personal change, but also about collective transformation. Many are being pushed to release the masks they've worn for too long. Truth rises more boldly, secrets lose power, and what is false begins to crumble. In this way, you are not alone. An entire wave of awakening is unfolding across the world, and you are part of it. Spiritual traditions often spoke of this phase as a doorway between the self that hides and the self that shines. Walking through it can feel like both an ending and a beginning. The more you resist, the heavier it feels. But the more you lean into the change, the lighter it becomes. This is the paradox of awakening. It strips away illusions but leaves you standing stronger, clearer, and more aligned with purpose. Pay attention to the way your inner voice has been speaking louder. Intuition is no longer quiet. It cuts through noise, guiding you with clarity that logic alone cannot explain. Decisions that once seemed confusing begin to show their true shape. Connections that once distracted you now stand exposed. This sharpened vision is part of the realignment that the 2nd October moon brings. It clears the fog so truth becomes undeniable. And this is not a temporary shift. It is an invitation into a higher way of living. One where you walk with more courage, more clarity, and more authenticity. The changes that rise now may feel intense, but they are perfectly timed. They prepare you for doors about to open, relationships about to deepen, and callings about to reveal themselves. Awakening is not waiting for you to be ready. It is happening now, and it is here to stay. Right now, the world is humming with change that is bigger than any single life. It is as if the ground beneath daily routines is quietly rearranging, guiding people toward a larger purpose without asking permission. The kind of change that can no longer be ignored is rising everywhere, shaping both the inner and the outer. October 2nd carries a unique imprint within this movement. On this date, the rare moon magnifies a turning point that is not just about personal awakenings, but about the wider transformation of consciousness itself. Many have been asking for meaning, for clarity, for a way forward, and the response is emerging not only within hearts but in the collective field. This is why so many people are experiencing similar shifts, because the awakening is not an isolated story. It is shared, woven together by invisible threads. Think about how quickly ideas now spread, how voices once hidden now reach millions, how truth once silenced now breaks into the open. This is not coincidence. It is part of a spiritual revolution that has been building for decades, now finding its sharpest edge. Each awakening soul acts like a spark, igniting those around them. One person's breakthrough becomes another person's reminder. One decision to step out of limitation becomes a permission slip for others to do the same. The language of this collective shift is not written in books or carved into stone. It shows itself in the way people are drawn together in times of change, the way connections cross borders and boundaries, the way compassion suddenly expands in moments of shared crisis. Even struggles are part of this ascension, because through them, strength is revealed, and through strength comes clarity of purpose. Think of it as a grid of light stretching across humanity. Each time someone awakens to their truth, their light switches on, adding power to the network. At first, it may feel like a small change, choosing honesty, setting a boundary, walking away from what no longer serves. But collectively, these acts are immense. They shift timelines. They create a stronger field where higher consciousness can thrive. The second day of October acts as a reminder of how interconnected this really is. For individuals, it may appear like endings, revelations, or a sudden push to face long-avoided truths. For the collective, it looks like veils of illusion tearing down in politics and culture. In the stories societies tell themselves, as one awakens, many are invited to awaken. This is the rhythm of planetary ascension. It ripples, it echoes, it multiplies. Look closely and you will see evidence everywhere. Old authorities losing their grip. New voices rising with courage, ideas once dismissed, now standing at the center of discussion. What was hidden can no longer remain hidden. What was tolerated in silence is now being questioned aloud. This is not collapse. It is renewal. Renewal is rarely comfortable, but it is always necessary. For those walking this path consciously, the task is twofold. First, to honor their own awakening. To live with the courage to embody truth even when it is inconvenient. Second, to remember that personal transformation is never only personal. Every boundary set against manipulation strengthens the collective field. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, expands the vibration of unity. Every refusal to play into fear becomes a declaration that higher consciousness is leading the way. Consider how often lives have been touched by a stranger's kindness, a message at the right moment, a story that sparks hope. These are not accidents. They are proof that the awakening is shared. Each individual holds the capacity to shift not only themselves but the collective atmosphere. What you do for your own healing echoes far beyond your own path. The October 2nd moon amplifies this truth. The micro and the macro are inseparable. Personal breakthroughs ripple outward, reshaping communities, families, even nations. A single voice speaking truth can inspire thousands. A single act of courage can inspire millions. The awakening of one accelerates the awakening of many. This is the nature of collective ascension. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It begins wherever courage is found. It is tempting to believe that the weight of the world is too much, that an individual cannot change the course of history. But history itself shows otherwise. Every transformation has always begun with individuals who decided to live differently, to embody what others only imagined. The same is happening now at a scale never before witnessed. This is not a rehearsal. This is the turning point. In moments of doubt, remember this. Consciousness is not separate. Every meditation, every prayer, every choice to act with integrity feeds into the same field that shapes the collective journey. What is healed within one person reduces the burden for another. What is released within one soul lightens the path for the next. Awakening is contagious, and it spreads far faster than fear when it is lived fully. So as October deepens, the call grows stronger. Not to escape, not to hide, but to stand more fully awake, more fully engaged, more fully present in truth. This is what ascension looks like, not a departure from the world, but a transformation of it from the inside out. The rare moon has simply illuminated the doorway. It is humanity's task to walk through it together. The current moment is not small or ordinary. It is the reshaping of human direction on a scale that past generations only imagined. The changes many are moving through individually are mirrors of a larger transformation sweeping through the collective. What once defined success, belonging, or power is dissolving, and new foundations are being laid in real time. October 2nd highlighted this more clearly than usual. That night drew attention to the way consciousness itself is being upgraded, as if humanity has reached a checkpoint in evolution. People everywhere are questioning roles, values, and choices they once accepted without hesitation. These questions are not distractions. They are signs that higher awareness is guiding the collective forward. The very act of questioning is itself proof of awakening. Spiritual revolution rarely looks gentle from the inside. It looks like unrest, like old frameworks crumbling, like conversations that no longer fit into familiar boxes. Yet within that dismantling lies extraordinary potential. It is the breaking open of a seed before growth, and once it begins, there is no turning back. The expansion continues until the entire field is transformed. One of the most powerful truths of this time is that no awakening is wasted. Even those who believe their progress is invisible are contributing more than they realize, choosing authenticity over performance, compassion over indifference, and courage over comfort. All of it feeds into the larger shift. A single awakened decision made privately can ripple into the collective in ways impossible to measure. The second day of October carries that lesson. What may have looked like personal endings were actually collective adjustments. Each release freed space not only within individual hearts but within the human field itself. The weight of outdated contracts, karmic ties, and illusions is being lifted piece by piece, and with every release more room is made for truth to take root. Consciousness expands in spirals, not straight lines. That means moments of progress are often followed by challenges that test what has been learned. This is not failure, but the more each person embraces their awakening, the faster this revolution of consciousness unfolds. No effort is wasted, no act of courage unseen. It all matters. So if life feels uncertain, remember this. Uncertainty is the mark of thresholds. It means the familiar is ending and the new is beginning. It means humanity is standing at a crossroads preparing to step into a higher chapter. And it means your awakening, your clarity, your courage is part of a much greater ascension. We are not watching history. We are making it. The revolution of consciousness has already begun and nothing can stop its rise. Each soul that awakens strengthens the whole. Each step into truth rewrites the collective story. And each act of courage ensures that the planetary ascension is not a distant prophecy. It is happening here now and through us all. The path ahead asks for presence that is not distracted, a clarity that moves like water through stone. Those walking consciously now are invited to carry themselves as torchbearers, weaving old wisdom into daily choices. The Hermetic teaching that as above, so below is no longer an abstract phrase, but a reminder that each inner decision echoes into the collective. Choosing honesty, compassion, and courage is not small. It shapes the architecture of the future. In Vedic practice, the mind is trained to bow before the eternal rhythm of truth. That bow is not submission. It is the recognition that personal will align more powerfully when connected with cosmic flow. Like the river that bends without losing its force, the awakened one learns to move with circumstances, rather than against them, finding momentum in surrender. Indigenous traditions often teach through ceremony where simple acts, a song, a gesture, a stone placed upon the ground, become bridges between worlds. Carry that spirit into daily life, not through imitation, but through reverence. Drink water as if it is memory. Speak words as if they plant forests. Walk as if the earth beneath you remembers each step. The recent alignment of October 2nd offered a mirror of how transformation unfolds silently, yet irrevocably. Like night yielding to dawn, those who honor that lesson will discover that from Vedic insights, discipline is not a cage but a liberation. A simple rhythm of breath at sunrise, a steady gaze toward the horizon, a mantra spoken within. These are not chores but anchors. They teach the spirit to stand strong, while the tides of change move swiftly around it. The second day of October reminded us of this, that steadiness during great shifts is itself a form of power. Among indigenous elders, wisdom is often carried in the teaching that nothing stands alone. Every choice touches the web. To walk mindfully is not only for the self but for the generations that come after. This is why courage matters now. Speak with dignity, act with respect, create with devotion. The road ahead does not ask for perfection. It asks for authenticity. Those who answer in that spirit will find themselves rising into the new era fully awake, fully anchored, and fully unafraid. The closing moments of this gathering are meant to leave a mark, not as fleeting words but as a living reminder of the path unfolding ahead. The moon event of 2nd October has opened a doorway unlike any other. A reminder that change does not come in silence but in waves of clarity that move through both heart and mind. What is happening now is bigger than personal growth. It is a collective unfolding. Each action taken from truth adds light to the field around us. Each word spoken with intention carries further than we imagine. This is not a time for hesitation, but for choosing to step with courage, knowing that this moment was written long before we reached it. To anchor this message, speak power into the space below by writing 222 in the comments. These words are not decoration. They are a declaration that you walk forward awake and steady. And do not keep this alone. Share it with one soul you know is moving through their awakening. For your gesture might be the spark that steadies their path. The chapter is not ending. It is opening wider, waiting for those bold enough to walk through.